a little bit and figure out the issue and whether or not he will be permitted. There's Casey Anthony. Earlier this afternoon, we noticed her chair was empty. I don't think it was anything serious, though, Gene, because she came back in and she looked fine. She's now placed that shawl on, so I think all is fine with her. Let's go back in.
Of the stall, I would add that we instructed the media and everyone present about the restrictions on photographing or recording this in any way.
Okay. The media is quite well aware of the two pool folks, one from In Session, and the Orlando Sentinel understands that they are to fixate and blur, so they're quite well aware. Also, fixate and blur, so they're quite well aware. Also, there should be no taking of cell phone photographs by the media of any of these things. And there's an absolute prohibition on the public for taking out cell phones, period. If you take them out, they will be seized and confiscated. Okay, let's proceed, Mr. Ashton.
Published report. This is published for the court. Pause, please.
Testifies how he plans on shouldn't the witness proffer what his testimony is going to be in relation to this as well?
I'd be happy to do whatever the court wants, other than how it was made. I didn't think that went to the 403 analysis, but.
Well, I thought you wanted me to look at the tape. What is it you want me to do?
That's fine. We can start with this.
We can look at the tape and then we can have them testify as to how you made it. Okay? All right, let's proceed.
Inside the courtroom right now, Casey Anthony, the judge, the attorneys, all reviewing some more pictures, and they must be associated with the next witness, whose name is Michael Warren. And again, he's a anthropologist, works with forensic identification, graphic stuff. And the judge is previewing it right now, and they're going to talk about what this witness will testify to before they place it in front of the jury. The jury has left the room momentarily, and you heard Prosecutor Jeff Ashton just reminding the judge beforehand about the fact that they don't want these images displayed to the public, and for obvious reasons, respect for Kaylee, respect for the family. And we're looking at Casey Anthony, and I can't quite tell from that picture if she's looking at the images or not. It's not clear. If we could perhaps just drop those words on the screen for a moment, we could see if there's a screen in front of her or not, because I can't tell. It looks like she is looking at these images. Gene Cassars, who's with me. I'm sorry, Gene is with me. Gene, I mean, from this vantage point, and you spend a lot more time in the courtroom than I have, it appears that she is actually looking at these images.
Right, you know, she doesn't have a monitor right in front of her, but Jose Baez does. And it looks like, at this angle, it looks closer to her than I think it is, but it looks like she's definitely looking at that monitor.
Because throughout, she has not been watching this stuff. She's been turning away, and that would be turning towards the right side of the screen, because that monitor is on the left side of the screen that you're looking at.
Yes,
Look at her.
And I don't think the pictures or whatever's being displayed is being displayed for the gallery, because I see some people in the seats really trying to look at Jeff Ashton's monitor up there at the prosecution.
There's screens for the monitor for the gallery. They're not looking at it because it hasn't been published yet. Mike Brooks, what do you think here as you watch Casey take a look at these next pieces of evidence that the prosecution wants to use?
Vinny, while they were in sidebar after the jury was dismissed, again I was watching the case. I just said, look at her, because she is extremely agitated about something. Even before they started showing this video, you saw her extremely mad about something, shaking her head. Was it the testimony of Dr. G before, and she wasn't happy with her team's effort? I don't know, but something really was bothering her, and she was really mad.
You know, Vinny, I would really like to know what they're all viewing right now, because we just heard the judge instruct the gallery again, you do not take pictures at all of the skull. And now they're all looking at something. Casey Anthony has not looked at pictures of the skull before, but she is definitely, it appears to be looking at the screen. Her head is not down at this point.
This is some moment, and again, there you can see Casey Anthony appears for the first time to be looking at some of the graphic images that we cannot show you. We can show them to you afterwards, after they've been doctored up a little bit, where we obscure certain parts of it so they're not so graphic in nature, out of respect for the family and for Caylee Anthony. But here you're looking at Casey Anthony. That's a face that is, I would only describe it as a scowl as she watches this. Again, the jury is not in the room. This is all a little mini hearing taking place out of their presence. They were sent back to their...
Okay, Vinny, I can tell you exactly what they're looking at from Michael Christian in the courtroom. The CD in question begins to play. It shows a photo of Casey and Caylee. Through time-lapse photography, portions of Caylee's smiling face are replaced with superimposed images of the recovered skull.
Oh my. Oh my.
And it appears as though Casey is watching that.
And, you know, I think about evidence like that, and it's on two levels. I believe forensically what they're trying to do is positively identify and match the remains up with that little girl, but
the issue in this
I believe the prosecution wants this jury to really understand what's going on here. Let's take a listen inside the courtroom.
In this case, was in fact the cause of death. This demonstrates that a single piece of duct tape, and the testimony will show there was 3, was sufficient to be placed over the nose and mouth of Caylee Marie Anthony, thus ending her life. This is a graphic, an unfortunately graphic representation, but it's the only method of establishing that. Just so the court knows, the reason the skull is in the picture is because the skull has a scale, the tape has a scale, and in order to make the skull match the photograph, it was necessary to have the skull so that we know that the photograph is in 1-to-1 ratio with the tape. That's the reason that the skull has to be there. And that is the relevance of it. And I do believe that the defense is contesting whether the tape is the murder weapon. And I would submit that this is evidence that it is.
Mr. Baez?
I don't know where we're at, but I've been the state's theory of what caused this child's death. And then today, it's duct tape.
We seem to find ourselves in a position of, let's throw everything against the wall and see what sticks. This disgusting superimposition is nothing but a fantasy that is not supported. Number one, it's not supported by anything that can't be testified to. It goes to the very root of 403, that is substantially any probative value of this video as to the measurements of what Mr. Ashton just finished arguing, that it's sufficient, the measurements are sufficient to cause this death. If that's what they want to argue, I understand that. However, the proper way of doing that would be, of course, someone testifying as to the measurements, someone testifying as to the anatomy of this child due to her age, and that would be, in my estimation, to a medical examiner or an anthropologist.
Just a second.
Yes, sir.